Hello, we're here today at Anna McKinnon's investment property. My name is DArchibeque. I am a home inspector and light commercial building inspector. I've been doing this for about 30 years. Started out as a carpenter, ended up going to the U, getting a bachelor's degree in construction management, built a lot of facilities for the university, and then after that worked for a number of engineering firms doing what they call building commissioning, which is just a fancy term for building inspections. So today we're going to talk about some of the things we look at when we're doing inspections on a investment property or any other kind of property for that matter. So as we begin the process, we're going to kind of start to walk around the house. One of the first things I want to do when I approach a house is to look at the house and see if it's square, level, and plumb. I want to make sure that I get a good feel for if the house is sagging or there is any noticeable flaws in the foundation. I'm looking for diagonal cracking, kind of step cracks in the foundation. I'm looking for just anything that's going to give me an indication that maybe we have a failing foundation. As I start to walk around the house, I'm going to be looking at the grade, making sure that I'm not noticing any possibility of water infiltrating the basement or anything like that as a result of a poor grade. As I move up the house, I want to look at the roof and see if the roof is in good shape from the ground. I also climb up on the roof and really get up close and personal with all the flashings and drip caps and things of that nature. Water appears to be the number one problem most homes have, both for private homeowners and investors. So after I do that, I take the basic survey around the house, check out the air conditioner, check out the electrical services that come into the house, just trying to get an overall feel for the quality of the equipment that is associated with the house. Then we move into the house. So we've worked our way into the basement of the structure. We're looking at the electrical panel. A lot of the things I like to inspect are the breakers that were used. I like to look at the circuits and the conductors that are on these circuits, making sure that the breaker and the conductors match. The overall installation of the panel box, making sure that the bus bar is correct and that the overall electrical system has been wired in compliance with some fundamental building standards and codes. We also take a pretty good look at the mechanical systems, which would include the water heater and the furnace. And in looking at the furnace, we're going to make sure that it's controlled by the thermostat properly. We're going to check out the filter, make sure that the burner and the heat exchanger are functioning the way they should. The other thing that we definitely like to make sure we understand is what the age and condition of the appliance is. So I can determine exactly when the unit was manufactured and give the investor an understanding of how much manufactured suggested life is still in the piece of equipment. So also working along the basement, we look for issues associated with the construction of the basement. This particular basement is a poured basement. There is some efflorescence, but by and large I'm not seeing a bunch of diagonal cracking or lateral cracking that would indicate a failure in the basement. We also take a peek at the slab and make sure that the slab is in good condition and that there are no major flaws in the construction of the slab or the current condition of the slab. So during the inspection of older homes, we discover some things that maybe were acceptable when the house was built, but currently may not be acceptable. For example, we have a stairway here. The rise and run are not anywhere near where you would expect them to be on a modern home. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to be replaced. With a phone call to the building code inspector, you can find out what they're going to require in terms of this particular stair run. An inspector will note that it isn't compliant with current codes, and for you to get a further opinion from your local, municipal, or city building code inspector. We have worked our way up into the main floor, and there are some things that a typical building inspection would point out. we've noted that there was some water damage that is noticeable. We've also noticed that there is a new roof that has been put on. So much of this water damage is probably a result of water infiltration that was caused prior to the roof being replaced. Other things we look for are the condition of the plumbing, and we try and make sure that we have a good and thorough understanding of the components. For example, in the kitchen, does the garbage disposal work? Is it plumbed correctly? Does the water in the sink actually turn on and turn off and reach the required temperature? Right behind you, right in front of me, is a door that used to lead to a deck. There is no longer a deck there. That would represent a condition that needs to be addressed in terms of providing either some sort of deck or stair leading out, or somehow making sure that that door doesn't stay there from an elevated position where someone could become injured if it was left in the condition it is today. So for an investor or homeowner, they need to reconfigure the way that wall is laid out. In this particular instance, the investor is going to reconfigure the way that door and wall is laid out, put a stairwell and a landing there so that it's compliant. Same with this glass sliding door here. I'm sure that there was some sort of a deck or landing that was in place at the time. That's certainly something that you would want to see going forward, is that either you sealed off this opening, or you actually created a deck and a proper handrail and made this compliant with today's codes. Side, and we're looking at the house and the foundation and the roof and the intersection of the roof members. A lot of the things that an investor will want to hire an inspector for is to make sure they have a good understanding of the general condition of the foundation and what things affect the quality of foundation, the grade of the landscaping, what is going on with the roof and the different valleys and intersections of the roof, and if water has been managed away from the structure. That's your primary concern as an investor, in my opinion, is water infiltration. Water infiltration comes from a number of different sources. It could be the roof, it could be water management from the roof, it could be the grading associated with the landscape. So having an inspector come up and really take a good look at the exterior of the home, making sure your understanding of the landscape, the roof components, and the overall water management is probably one of the primary reasons to have an inspector come out and help you with an understanding of the condition of your investment. Now, please stay tuned for next month's Vendor of the Month.